Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome to my channel. Today I'll show you the making of a very beautiful and simple top using leftover fabric, or you can also use less than 1 meter of fabric, right? So this is one strip of chicken fabric I have, and this is equal to the length of the top I want, and that is 22 to 23 inches, and the width is 3.5. That is sufficient for the dress. And for this strip of fabric, chicken fabric, I need a lining fabric as well. And if you are using a cotton fabric in contrast, so then you don't need the lining fabric, right? And apart from this, we'll use this lace to decorate the top, and this is the main fabric with which we'll make the top. So these are the leftover pieces I have. I might not be using this piece. The main piece is this one, and this is 20 inches long piece of fabric. It's folded, it's 20 inches long, and it is 44 inches wide fabric piece. So 44 inches wide, 20 inches long, and apart from this we have this strip of fabric which we'll use for the peplum. So if you're not using leftover fabric piece, then you need less than 1 meter of fabric for this top, right? Now let's start the cutting of the top. First of all, we need to decide the length of the top we want. The length down to our knees is 25 inches. We'll make the top 3 inches less than knee length. So this is 22 inches. And normally we take 11-inch long bodies, and in this top I'm taking 15 inches long because we'll take the bodies down to the hip point, and the 6 inches long would be the peplum, right? So 15 inches long bodies and 7 inches long peplum is required. So let's cut the fabric accordingly. So I'll measure this strip of fabric. It is 6 inches long, and I'll attach lace at the bottom of this strip, so it would be 6 to 7 inches long, and that is sufficient for the peplum I want. So I'll cut this strip of fabric for the peplum. So you need to cut a strip 7 inches long or 6 inches long as you want for the peplum first. So this is for the peplum, and the peplum would be gathered, right? And now we'll cut the bodies from this fabric we have. So I cut 15 inches long and 17 inches wide piece of fabric for the back bodies, because we'll cut it according to our hip measurement. Half of our hip is 13 inches, and keeping the seam allowance at the side, I cut 17 inches wide fabric for the back part of the bodies. The front part is equally long. It is 15 inches long, but it is 2 inches less wide, because we'll attach a patch at the center. So the back bodice is 17 inches. We'll attach a 3 inches patch at the center. So the remaining width should be 14, and including 1 inch seam allowance, I kept it 15 inches wide. Now we'll fold the front bodies like this and cut it in 2 halves, because the patch would be attached at the center of the bodies, and it would be throughout the length of the top, from top to bottom of the peplum. So we'll attach the gathered peplum at the bottom first, and then the patch. So we'll cut the strip for the peplum first. So this is the strip, 6 to 7 inches long. We'll cut it into 2 halves. One is for the back part of the top, and the other one is for the front part. So we'll take one piece and cut it in 2 halves again, because we'll attach the gathers here at the sides only. So now we'll place the strips here, press them very nicely, and then gather them and attach to the bodies. So I press the strips very nicely. Now it's time to gather the strips and attach it to the bodies. So the peplum is attached to the front bodies, and now I attach the patch to the center of the top. So first we'll get the patch ready. So this is the chicken fabric I have. If you will use cotton fabric in contrast, then you don't need the lining, right? But I'm using this chicken fabric, so I'm using the lining as well. This strip is 22 inches long. As I told you before, this is the length of the top we want, and the lining is of same measurement, 22 inches long, and the width is 3.5 inches. We need 3-inch wide patch, so there should be 1 inch for seam allowance, but I have only ½ inch, so I'll keep margin very narrow at the side. So place the lining on the right side of the chicken fabric and stitch at the sides, keeping a very narrow margin because my strip is 3.5 inches wide, right? So I stitch the sides, keeping a margin of just 1 point, and now we'll turn the right side out. So after turning the right side out, we'll press this patch very nicely so all the seams are set in place. We'll press it here. So I've pressed this patch. This patch is ready to be attached to the rest of the top, and when ready it is 3 inches wide, right? Now we'll simply place this patch above the side pieces on the top of this piece and top stitch here. That's why we kept a ½ inch seam allowance at the side pieces of the bodice. So we'll simply place this patch on the top of the sides and top stitch. So I top stitch the center patch in place and cut the extra fabric. So this is attached to the main part of the bodice, and now we'll attach lace at the side of this patch. So we'll place it here and top stitch it on both sides of this patch. So I top stitch the lace on both sides of the lace so that it is set in place. And now we'll take the back part of the bodice and attach the gathers at the bottom of the back part as well. We'll press it nicely first and then attach it to the top part. And I did running stitch for the gathers using the needle and thread, right? And now I'll attach it to the top part of the bodice. So I've attached it. Now fold the back part like this and place the front part on it. The center patch should be exactly at the center. Now we'll mark for the shoulder first. We mark half of the shoulder, so I'm marking at 5.5 inches. At this point, we'll mark for half of armhole round. I'm marking at 6 inches. Extend these 2 points. At this point, we'll mark for the chest, and we mark 1/4 of the chest, so I'm marking at 6.5 inches, and 1 inch is for cutting. Now from the top, we'll mark at 10 inches for the waistline, and we'll mark for the waist here. We mark 1/4 of the waist, and I marked at 6 inches. Now we'll simply join this mark to the bottom corner. From the cutting mark, we'll draw a shape for back armhole first, and then from the same mark, we'll draw a shape for front armhole a bit deeper than the back armhole, like this. Now for the neckline, I'm taking 3 inches neck width and 3 inches neck depth. This is for the front neckline. Join these 2 points in a round shape. The width of the back neck would be same, so we'll mark at 3 inches for back neck width, but the depth would be 2 inches. So we'll mark at 2 inches for neck depth and join these 2 points here. Now we'll cut for the front neckline and back armhole. And then the side. Now we'll separate the back part and cut the front armhole first. And the back neckline. So we have cut the bodice now. And now we'll finish the neckline. For that we'll take a strip of fabric in the same shape as the neckline for the front and the back part as well. So I cut a strip of fabric. As you can see, it is in the same shape, and it is longer at the center back because we need a slit at the center back as well, right? And the front neckline. Now we'll attach this strip on the right side of the neckline, and we'll stitch near the neckline, and at the center we'll make 2 stitch lines at the center back, right? And we'll do the same for the front neck. So we'll stitch it on the right side of the neckline and stitch here, and then turn it to the wrong side for finishing. So I finished the front neckline. As you can see, I hand stitched it on the wrong side. And for the back neckline, I wanted to show you something. When we'll turn it to the wrong side, we'll make a cut here so that this strip can be folded inside easily, and it makes a corner here so it looks nice, right? So this is the way we fold the strip of fabric to finish the neckline on the wrong side, right? And now we'll hand stitch it. So I hand stitched it and pressed it very nicely. So the neckline is done. Now we'll attach the right sides together and stitch at the shoulder. So I stitched the shoulder, keeping a 1/2 inch shoulder slope, and now we'll cut and attach the sleeves to the bodice. So for the sleeves, I took this strip of fabric. This is the piece of fabric left when we cut the bodice, right? So this strip would be used for the pleats at the bottom of the sleeve, and this is the fabric for the sleeves. It is 20 inches wide and 8 inches long. So we'll attach a piece of a pleated strip on the bottom of the sleeve, right? So we'll cut it here. So this is the 20-inch wide piece of fabric we need for the sleeves. So we'll fold it twice for 2 sleeves. The armhole we marked on our bodice is 6 inches. We mark a 1/2 inch less than that measurement, so we'll mark at 5.5 inches. But this folded fabric is less than 5.5 inches, so we'll attach a joint. So these are 4 pieces of fabric, so I've cut 4 rectangular pieces for the joint. We'll overlap the fabric pieces on the sleeve here, and then we'll mark for the armhole. So we are marking for armhole at 5.5 inches. Mark here. Give a 2-inch slope at this point. So we'll mark at 2 inches down this point and join this point. We'll join this point to the top of the sleeve here. This would be the shape of back armhole. And now for the bottom width of the sleeve, we want 3.5 inches wide bottom on fold. So we mark here, join these 2 points. And now we'll cut at these points. So we'll cut at this armhole mark, keeping 1 inch seam allowance at the side here. We'll keep seam allowance here as well. So now we have cut the top part of the sleeves. Now we'll attach the joints in place. So we'll simply join the right side together and stitch here. So there are 2 joints for each sleeve. We'll join them here. So I've attached the joints in place. Now we'll attach this strip of fabric at the bottom of the sleeve. So we'll cut it in half. This is for both of the sleeves. Its width should be at least twice or more than the bottom of the sleeve. So our bottom of sleeve is 7 inches and this strip is 16 inches wide, right? And the length is 5 inches, including seam allowance. So we'll simply hem the bottom of both of these strips first. So I've hemmed the bottom, as you can see, and now we'll attach it to the right side of the sleeve. Match the right sides together. Pleat this strip of fabric down to the width of the sleeve, that is 7 inches. So we'll pleat it from one end to the other. So I've attached this pleated strip on the right side and it's looking like this. So we did the same for the other sleeve as well. The sleeves are ready to be attached to the top. So this is our top. Take one sleeve. Draw a shape of front armhole for the part of the sleeve which will be attached to the front part of bodice. So we'll make a slope here because the front armhole is a bit deeper than the back armhole. So this part will be attached here. Mark the center of the sleeve. This will be attached to the shoulder joint. Pin here and stitch at the armhole. Do the same for the other sleeve. This part of the sleeve would be attached to the front armhole, so make a slope here. Make a shape for the front armhole here, like this. So this is the difference between the front and the back armhole, as you can see. Now mark for the center of the sleeve, match it to the shoulder, pin here and attach the sleeves at the armhole. So we have attached the sleeves at the armhole, and now I'll attach a piece of lace on this joint. So this is the piece of matching lace I have, so I decided to attach it here so it would look nicer. We'll simply top stitch it on both of the sleeves. So I top stitch the lace here in place, and now we'll simply join the right sides of the front and the back bodice like this, and then we'll stitch the side seam starting from the sleeves down to the bottom of our dress here. So I stitch the sides and give a few notches at the side as well, and then turn the right side out. So this is how the top is looking. It is fine if you don't attach the lace at the bottom of the peplum, but it would look even nicer if we'll attach a lace at the bottom of the peplum, and I'm attaching here. This is the same lace we used on the sides of the patch, so we'll simply place it here and top stitch. So I top stitched the lace in place. It's looking very nice. And now we'll attach a bow tie at the center of this patch here. And I chose this shocking pink color fabric for this bow tie. So I took this strip of fabric. It is 9 inches wide. I trimmed the extra fabric, and it is 5 inches long. So we'll simply fold it like this and stitch here. So I stitched one side and turn the right side out now. So after turning the right side out, this seam should be at the center. Now it is 9 inches wide. I trimmed the extra fabric. Now we'll join the sides and stitch here, top stitch. So I simply top stitched the two sides together and trim the extra fabric. This would be the center back of our bow tie, so it won't be visible. Now we'll pleat the bow tie and wrap it with a strip of fabric. Now we are supposed to turn the right side of this strip out as well, and for this we'll tie a knot at one end of the strip and insert the back part of the needle inside the strip and simply turn the right side out. So we'll pleat the center of the bow tie and wrap this strip around the pleats like this. You can hand stitch it or fix it with glue. I hand stitched it, as you can see. Now our bow tie is ready. It's looking very cute. We'll attach it on the top here and fix it with glue gun. So I fixed the bow in place. This is the final look of the dress. It's looking very nice. Must try it. It's very easy to stitch and it's looking very cute, and it would be a very good combination with jeans. And I hope you like the video. If you do, thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so you will get notification on every new upload. And if you have any questions, do comment below. And thank you so much for watching, and Allah Hafiz till the next video.